All right, over here at hive number 4 for a routine inspection. Oh, they got that sealed down. I'm sorry, I said 4. This is hive number 3. Let me give them some smoke at the front real quick. And hopefully, due to how well this hive had the telescoping cover sealed down, and with the amount of bees I saw up there, hopefully that's an indication that they are in full honey production mode. So we'll find out here shortly. If I recall correctly, they were definitely hacking away some honey. So let's see what they've been up to. Oh yeah. Oh, this is just what you want to see. Check this out. Look at all that beautiful white wax, meaning they are capping and curing nectar into honey. So I reduced the honey supers to a 9 frame. It's been a few weeks, and it looks like that was a good idea. Yep, they are doing their thing. I don't want to disrupt them too much, but at the same time I want to see how these are looking. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. Now we're starting to get into the prime time for honey production. That's looking good. Let's get into the top deep, which is also a honey super. But first, let me get the spacing back to what it should be. And yeah, that didn't take much. All right. Let's see what this box feels like. Should have some nice weight to it. Yeah, starting to. Alright, we gotta show you this too. So check this out. They're definitely building. I don't know if you can see that or not. Sometimes it's hard for things to come up on the camera, but they're definitely building some nice wax. I'm gonna pull this frame. So that's what happens when you run a 9 frame. You get, oh shoot, you didn't see that. You start to get nice thick frames like that one. So let me pull that real quick and see what it looks like. Well, oh shoot, oh no. Doing things with one hand, it's tricky sometimes. Yeah, so they're drawing it out nice and fat at the top. This is all nectar. They really just need to start curing it. Alright, so I don't want to mess with them too much with the deep here, because this is, again, acting as a honey super. So I'm just going to remove it and get to the bottom box so I can inspect this colony. Okay. Let's see. Should be alright. Yeah, it's fine. Can't remember what's going on with this colony. And the only reason I say that is because as I look down, these 3 frames are new. I did something last time and really just can't remember what that was. I do remember seeing a queen cell developed in the top box, or maybe 2 of them did. I can't remember now. And I believe I removed it because I found the queen in the bottom box here. Obviously, I'm running it as a single deep. So, just like all inspections this time of year, checking for swarm cells, of course, and determining whether or not they have a queen. And I would say they do. This is the third frame. And if I get out of the way, you can probably see this, or not. But anyway, all the open cells here have eggs. So at this point, I'm doing the two things I just mentioned, both looking for the queen on each frame and checking for swarm cells. So frame 3, inside of frame 3, a ton of eggs. Practically every open cell. So let's see if we can find the queen now. Oh yeah, this colony's going to explode in the next few weeks. Ton of pupated larvae on this side. Let's see if I can find some eggs. No, it doesn't really matter because I found eggs on the previous frame. But yeah, just looking for the queen and swarm cells, two main things. So that's the fourth frame. So I'm thinking the colonies on the right side of the bee yard, because they get mostly all afternoon sun after the sun hits noon and starts to dive down into the western part of the sky. I'm thinking they like the right side of the box. Oh, look at that. Alright, so I definitely need to find the queen at this point, because this is frame 5, and that looks like, I don't know, looks like some kind of supersedral cell, which is kind of weird. Yeah, this hive was queenless also for a good while, and they packed away a ton of food, but they're starting to move food around and give the queen space to lay, because all the little open cells here surrounding the pollen, and that's not capped, has small pupated larvae, so it probably started to pupate a day or two ago, meaning the queen most likely put the egg in there maybe 5 days ago. So again, looking for the queen, mainly because of that now. That looks like a capped supersedral cell. So if they do have a queen, if I can find her, I'll tear that cell down. And I do not know why they would want to supersede her. This looks like an excellent brood pattern. But I definitely need to find her. I would like to say it shouldn't be that difficult, because there looks like there's only one more frame to check. The last 3 frames are pretty new. So it would be nice to find her, that's for sure. Don't see her on that frame. This frame, let's see, a lot of nectar and pollen, but she could still be hanging out on here. Found queens in weirder spots. Don't think so though. Alright, so these last few frames are new. I'm just going to remove them. I mean, they're working it. They're drawing out some wax, so that's good. Check them first. Check them, and then remove them to give myself some space to go back through the box quickly to possibly find the queen. That's the goal. Just to be able to say they are, in fact, queen right. What's going on with this? That's weird. inside the box also. And then we got all those set aside. I found her last week. That's what I remember. I found her, I caged her, I lost her. I ended up boxing the colony back up and double checked later, in which I was able to find her, so that was good. So they were queen right last week. There's a ton of eggs. So the only thing that's got me a little puzzled is what looks to be a supersedral cell. I don't remember what frame anymore, but we're about to go through it again, so we'll take a look at that. That's a weird one. Alright, where's she at? Yeah, it's this frame. Top there. Nice to find a queen. Be nice. So it's the third frame here from the left with some kind of queen cell. Oop, shoot. Knocked that frame, could have easily knocked her off, and now she's in the box somewhere. Sometimes you can find her real fast, and sometimes you can't. Alright, well, there's only one frame left. This frame has a ton of eggs, and there's still room for her to lay, so maybe she's here. Maybe she's on this one. Alright, well, this is a tough, oh, there she is. Boom, right there. Oh, she's a fat one. And nice and slow moving too. I don't know where she's gone because there's no comb there, but let me put this back together. All right, found her. Done. Awesome. Jeez. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit. You gotta have some patience. She may have been on that frame the entire time. Just no telling. Alright. Now the fun part, putting everything back together. So we got 3 frames over here going back in. 1, 2. That's a nice frame for her to lay in too. 3. That way, put these 2 back in. Alright, let's get this thing all boxed up. Space these out real quick, correctly, or evenly, however you want to look at it. Alright, so found the queen. It was excellent. Nice brood patterns, ton of eggs, so they should be okay in the next few weeks. Alright, that was hive number 4. Looking at the clock on the GoPro, it's got me at 18 minutes. Seems like that took a lot longer. Just have to have some patience sometimes. When you have that many eggs and you're unsure if they're queen right or not, you really have to find the queen. Oh shoot, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to tear down that supersedral cell now that I found the queen. Oh man, well, let's get back in there real quick and do that. Talking to yourself sometimes helps. Now if I can just remember. Man. So now you run the risk of squishing her again every time you move stuff around, but either way. Let's see if I can remember what frame that is so I don't have to move too much. I think I might be able to see it from the top. Yeah, it's this one here. Yeah, given the pattern, the brood pattern, and the amount of eggs on the other frames that haven't been capped yet, this queen cell here, that's gonna get. I'm gonna try and remove it instead of tearing it down. I'm gonna try and remove it and set it aside because hive tool clearly is not the best thing to do this with. I was thinking I was going to cut through the comb like to the other side, but then I realized it's plastic foundation, so I can actually just press down. And I've done this before, you can't tell, and I am destroying this, but look at the amount of pollen coming out. That's kind of cool. Yep, alright, well, that didn't work, so that did not work, but if you look at that, let me bring the camera to the frame instead of the frame to the camera. But if you look at that, that was a developing queen cell, or developing queen actually, right there. So that was my failed attempt of cutting it out with a hive tool, which clearly is not the best tool to use, but since I found the queen, I can confidently remove that super seedral cell, swarm cell, queen cell, whatever you want to call it, and prevent them from swarming. Alright, so now let's box it back up. Okay, hive number 3, looking good. Can't believe I almost forgot to remove that supersedral cell. Now that is typically what the front entrance looks like after inspection. Little chaotic, but nonetheless, they're good. Nice fat queen, not a real long torso, but a pretty fat, well, abdomen, not torso. So that's hive number 3. They're looking good, ton of eggs. That bee population should explode in the next few weeks, which is plenty of time to capitalize on the remaining of our nectar flow here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So that does it for this week. Hive number 3, queen rate, looking good. They've definitely shifted gears into honey production. They're collecting plenty of nectar, storing it in the supers, and curing it into honey, which is what happens when that nice white capping gets placed on the on each cell. You can test it, and in majority of the time it'll test below 18% water content, which means it is nicely cured honey and should last forever. Alright, so enough of that. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, Cole's Farm NC, all together. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. If you hit the bell, you'll receive notifications of future videos. Alright, hey, tune in next week and check back to see how hive number 3's looking for another routine inspection. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody.